He's worked on the Stophouse crew for a long time. Super quality dude. Didn't really intend to do this, but if you guys ever need good photo video work, this is a great guy to go to approach. He one thing I really appreciate about Cody is he is invested in the final product as I am and as the artists that we work with are, and he's always dedicated to getting like the absolute best product. So that's my pitch for Cody. And then also we have Brian in the building with Rainwater. I'm not familiar with his company, but sounds like a super talented videographer, photographer. Has you worked with? Maybe give us your little mini, your 15-second spiel.
2 years into it, and
Okay.
just been getting in every crack in the corner I can possibly get into actions and stuff. I've done some stuff for clubs, no big artist, but getting it.
Video work?
Yeah, video mainly, music video mainly, but yeah, a few photos, but yeah, video.
And it's called Brain
Brain
Water.
water and brain.
He's done some stuff recently for Carson Blue and Solo, right? Solo. Yep.
Rich, how do I just the lights up here? Let's see.
Cody, I'm assuming you probably don't have business cards.
I might have one on me, actually. I might, 'cause I brought my.
His Instagram is
Arrow or
Blue G Productions.
Hey,
I
slow
do
down.
it.
I mean, I've been a frequent for so long.
How you doing, man?
Hey, how y'all doing?
Good to see you.
Trying to figure out which one would be the best.
I think
There you go, actually.
is that too much?
It might be too dark for the camera.
That's cool. That's cool.
Oh, you should do this, it looks great.
What about that? It's those two lights on.
That's not, try cutting them off, see what it looks like, I might be able to have enough light.
Make it dark for those guys though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can still see you pretty well.
That's
What about
That's fine,
that?
it works.
Does that work? Or?
You guys okay?
That works for me.
That cool for everybody?
You want to afraid of the dark?
Okay, sweet. Well, I appreciate everybody making it to week 2 of the independent music business class in town here. I think what's kind of nice about the class size thing is that regardless of how many folks ever show up on a given night, we can just give really tailored information to whoever is here this evening. So I think that just means that you guys get an extra awesome, super
More for
tailored
us.
class time for you guys.
Yep.
Additionally, what's really cool too is the online community seems like it's going to be really strong. So I'm excited because we had about 15 people who have responded that they're already logged into the Google Drive and have started to like look through all the materials and all that kind of stuff. So
The online community? What
Yeah.
happens?
we're just going to host a video and the slides and any type of extra materials that we have every week in a little Google Drive.
That's the link you sent.
Same link I sent out to you guys. I'm sending out to all the other folks who applied, but we didn't, choose those folks. Just because, why not spread the information with as many people as we
Yeah,
can.
we're not shooting your likenesses, but like, if you ask questions, it'll be on there just so you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you want, there's something you want to just handle offline because it's a little more,
Okay, that's.
Yeah.
something you don't.
That's a
talk-
super good note. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good
But
note.
you're really close to your business and you really don't want to talk about it here, but you want to get it offline, that's fine.
Yeah. And we can always
Yeah, so we are too.
and we can always edit stuff
Yeah,
out
if
too.
you need
If
something
their
edited.
conversation goes a direction and you go, oh, I wanted to be really candid, but I'd like you to remove that, that's totally fine. So
Yeah.
cool. Well, I guess to hop into this week, I just wanted to check in from last week, see if there was any outstanding questions from anything that we discussed, if there was anything pressing, maybe actually with your single, or Austin, if you have anything going on that you want to immediately hop into.
Yeah, it's wide open.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes that's the best way to approach stuff, just because if you have I hate to bore you for an hour and then you'd be like, how do I register this thing on Spotify?
Right.
Well, I found out, okay, so Neil recorded an introduction for me. I introduced the song, and I edited it down in a way where it fits over the intro. And I already uploaded the track itself without the intro. And I was wondering if it's gonna be a copyright issue, because I paid him for the service and for our partnership that we're doing,
Yeah,
it's a paid deal, but he didn't want to sign anything
okay,
because it's not a feature, and I just kind of backed down and was like, I'm not gonna be a stickler about it because I don't want to lose the relationship over that.
Yeah.
So I was like, he's like, you can use the screenshots right here, but because we didn't have anything specified, in detail, I don't know if I can use his audio in a music video that
So-
streams on YouTube.
Yeah.
So you're definitely not gonna get flagged by the automatic copywriting system, because that piece of audio would need to have been registered with YouTube Content ID for you to get it flagged. So I don't think you're probably gonna have any issues. What you can do is if for any reason somebody flags you, you can always challenge that copyright flag. And oftentimes a copyright flag won't mean that they remove your video or it's anything negative with YouTube. It just means that your monetization funnel gets channeled, instead of going to you, it gets sent to whoever is claiming that copyright. So if for example, somebody uses Prof's song in a skateboard video, we have it set up so it totally allows folks to use that, but then it just sends all the money from their monetization to us instead.
And is that the YouTube monetization option when you upload a song that you can like pay and distribute? I don't know, what do you guys use to distribute?
Oh, no, so that, we do it, we have our own channel because we have an artist. We have the artist channel, so we can monetize that way.
Yeah, you can.
You can use.
Yeah, however you want to get it to YouTube, whether it's uploading it directly yourself or going through like DistroKid. And DistroKid, I think you can have it send it to YouTube and not flag it for copyright. So you could allow anybody on the service to use your music and it wouldn't send any of the money your direction or whatever. And there's some benefits to doing that as well, because say there's a big content creator who wants to use your stuff. And sometimes it's really difficult with some of these bigger box kind of like distribution services to get them to go into their system and take off the copyright flag for this big content creator's piece of content that you want your song to be placed in, because it's going to be in front of millions of people or something like that.
Right.
So if you just have it so anybody can use it on YouTube, the benefit there is that I would go reach out to like a bunch of content creators and go, hey, you're always looking for great new music to play in the back of your content, and you're always having trouble with copyright issues, or you're just using the same old boring, tired, copyright-free YouTube shit. Instead of going that direction, let's use my stuff instead, and you can totally monetize off of it. Just make sure you put a link to, my little landing page in your description, and let folks know who I am if you really like the music. And I've heard of like huge success stories happen from that. But additionally, we've had little micro success stories where we've gotten content, music placed in like Milliken Fishing, which is a YouTube channel that has 250,000 subscribers, or what was it? It was a Sports and More show or something. It was like 500,000 subscribers, and they put a little piece of Profs in there, and we maybe got, a 10,000 view bump from those folks coming over. Which, if especially if you're doing less than 100,000 views typically on a video, having a 10K bump from something or a 5K bump from something, that can be a really huge
like the
look.
whole doubles.
Yeah, totally. And you can definitely see like Spotify streams go up and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
But so to get back to your original question, I think you're going to be okay in terms of any type of copyright issues. The only way you would probably run into anything is if like Neo or Neo's manager directly saw it and they wanted to pretend like you guys didn't have your
He's
agreement.
going to see it because he's going to be the one premiering the video.
Well, then I think you.
But you definitely want to talk to him about it.
Yeah, I mean.
I'm having them bounce down 2 different versions, so I'll just ask
Yeah.
you. Just communication. I don't even know if it's like.
If it's
really
been a little
him or
sketch,
somebody
it's
else.
it's been a little
But
sketch.
you paid for.
He does it for people, so I know it's not like somebody pretending to be him to get away with my money or anything like that.
But I guess for clarification for Chris, do you have in your DMs like, I'm paying you X amount of dollars in exchange for you to give me this audio sample that I can use within my music?
He gave me the audio sample, but the parameters of use was you can use this on all your social media platforms. He didn't say I could put it in the song and like upload it to the actual.
Yeah, that might be an issue.
That might be an issue.
That might be an issue.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask him.
Yeah,
Okay.
'cause-
I don't even know if it's like, I wonder if he has like an assistant doing his social media for him, because we've only been interacting via
A
social
lot of
media.
time, yeah. A lot of times this stuff is a la carte, as in, you want to use it for something else, and pay me more, right? Pay me more, pay me more.
Yep.
No, we just did.
Sorry, I misunderstood you initially there. I thought you said you paid for it. to
But he
actually-
called it an intro, so why would it be an intro? Unless he intended me to use it in the intro of the song.
I guess-
I'll specify.
I would clarify it, yeah.
That's one you definitely want to clarify.
Yeah.
Because if he catches it in your video, and you don't have an alternative.
Oh, he gonna catch it if I leave
Yeah,
it.
that's right, yeah.
And now,
Okay, because we're premiering the video. You don't want, well, the worst thing is, whether you don't ask, you premiere the video, like, what the hell is this doing in the video?
Or-
And then your whole intro thing you paid for, he's gonna be like tripping and just like kill it, or something, if he doesn't like it, so.
I
Yeah.
could,
Yeah.
it's sneaky, but I'm not saying I would, but I'm just saying I could to the premiere without his intro.
Correct.
I got 2 bounces, and when I put it up on YouTube, intro it, because they weren't there to see him do it.
Well, if he's not paying attention to his business, he probably is, okay, I'm done with you, move on, and then you can use it, yeah.
But we're supposed to be working on another song in May, so
Okay.
I'm trying to keep things going up and up.
Yeah, well, then I would probably
Then
just
you
play it by
ask.
the book as best you can.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Yep,
You'd
sure.
ask about it.
It's mixing.
Okay, cool.
Austin, anything pressing on your end at all?
Still thinking.
Okay, cool.
Good.
cool.
Thinking is
And,
good.
you guys will get in touch on ASCAP stuff.
We're talking on
Okay, cool.
Saturday.
Yeah.
Sweet,
Yeah, we're
awesome.
meeting on Saturday.
Was it Saturday or Sunday?
I think Sunday's Easter,
Oh, that's right.
so we're gonna do Saturday.
Okay.
You just, if it doesn't work, you just tell me, we'll find another time, but Saturday, I've got you down for Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday works.
Cool.
And then, what's going on, guys?
My name is John X. I'm actually a comedian, but I work closely with Rich.
Dope, dope.
And so, yeah, you know what I'm saying? We just really trying to just see like how much of this we can apply to what we do with our business.
That's
Yeah.
shit. I love comedy, huge fan, and I think there's a ton of overlap in marketing nowadays between building platforms for comedians and building platforms for musicians.
I do music too, but I'm not like serious.
Okay,
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes there's a lot of overlap in that as well, even like if comedy is your primary focus.
Yeah.
Sometimes people blow through a goofy little song that they decide to throw together or some shit like that, and then you can put your spotlight back on your comedy kind of thing. But,
Yeah, so that's what we did.
Yeah.
So we just wanted to step in and see what you got that, you know. I missed the first one, so now I'm like, dang, I gotta get another.
Yeah, okay.
Well, we'll get your contact information. I'll share you guys. We've got like a little Google Drive folder set up that has like a video from last week,
Okay, cool.
just with the actual footage from the class, and then it's got like the course materials and stuff. If
Oh,
you
nice.
feel like going over it, it was some pretty like basic, just kind of intro stuff, more getting familiar with who was in the class and stuff like that. So.
And you guys work with Prof, right?
Yeah.
We both work with Prof, Macker, St. Paul Slim, but Prof is probably 90% of my day in terms of kind of
Yeah,
working with business and stuff like that. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, welcome and thanks for coming to class.
Yeah,
guys.
thank you.
Yeah. I guess real quick then, intros from these guys.
Hi.
This is Mixie.
Sorry, I'm late.
No, it's okay.
And then this is Cody, Austin, Ashley, Brian, Nick, and Chris, and Rich, obviously. And then I'm Mike.
Are you Chris?
I'm Chris.
Did you hear him? I don't know if that's too close, but maybe that's too close. COVID.
See, it was good timing. We were just kind of checking in from last week. Are there any pressing questions or anything that we could help with on your end, just to kind of like dive right into stuff?
I'm not pressed.
Okay, cool.
But
Hell yeah.
I'm here, I'm open.
Sweet. I think we're gonna do that every class session just to make sure if there's anything that like people really want to address with a pressing urgency, we can get to it right away.
Okay, yes, thank you.
Yeah, cool. Well, I think that's everything from last week. In terms of what I plan to cover tonight, I want to briefly kind of just discuss my marketing plan outline. This is the marketing plan outline that I learned in freshman year of high school, and I've applied it to literally every major project I've done since I've been in freshman year of high school. Whether it's a big show like Prof Outdoors, where we sell 4,000 tickets in advance, or whether it's a video release on a Tuesday for new artists. I apply the same thought process and plan, and by no means is this like be all end all. You can definitely use different outlines to put your shit together. This is just what helps me a lot. So take or leave whatever feels useful for you. Oh, sorry, and there's all the materials for this week over here.
Got one back there.
Did you get one?
After I briefly discuss the marketing plan, we'll go into kind of what target markets are and how to define them. And then lastly, we'll talk about products, which is the first P of the promotional mix, or the marketing mix rather. And tonight we're gonna focus on just kind of how your music and image relates to one another, or how your comedy and your image relates to one another. Let's see here. Our first slide was on just the check-in from last week. All right, you guys can follow along. Let's see here. Yeah, so basically, we went over questions from last week, and then follow up on the assignment from building your team. We kind of asked you guys to press yourselves to think about who you could throw in your orbit that might fit one of those roles that we discussed for team building last week. does anybody want to share maybe somebody in their life that they feel like could either step in as like management help or social media help or an example of like how you could see that fit in your life? Austin, can you give me one example of somebody you feel like could fill any role that we discussed last week?
This isn't a new thing, but my dad's been acting as a manager mainly. So my dad, Stophace's been kind of a mentor for me.
Okay.
Mentor for me.
That's actually a really good role that we really didn't discuss much last week. We talked a lot about like artist manager, all these official positions, you know, talent buyers, that kind of stuff, but we didn't talk about mentors. And I feel like I'm glad you brought that up because that's something that I feel like for me, you know, Chris has been like a mentor to me, and I've had a couple other mentors within the music business, and it's like absolutely, you know, incredibly invaluable. So, I mean, I guess can you speak to what maybe Stokely has done for you as a mentor?
I mean, he turned me on to music right away when I was 13, and then from that point, he's just been like an ear for me. I'll play my song for him. He'll tell me if it's trash or if it's good. He'll be honest and gives tips on how to make it better.
Is it mostly on the creative side as opposed to the business side?
Yeah. He's definitely put me in touch with people who know some of the business side every once in a while, but it's mainly artist development. And he's got a busy schedule, so I don't get in touch with him all the time, but
Yeah.
when I do, it's helpful.
That's awesome.
And then lastly, I met someone during the quarantine that was a marketing major at the U of M. So I've been trying to build a relationship with him and see what he can do to help.
Yeah, dope. We've pulled both of our last two, our community engagement manager and our social media manager out of the U of M system. And they weren't necessarily like super educated on the platforms right out of the gates, but they were willing to learn and they had, you know, good like discipline and all that kind of stuff. So obviously that's not a blanket statement, but I think that's a smart way to recruit folks for sure. Ashley, is anybody in your life you feel like could maybe fill one of those roles?
Yes, there's quite a few people who have like offered, but I feel like I'm really selective because I feel like if I can do it myself, then
Okay.
if I want it to get done right. And, but anyway, as far as a manager, my sister's offered, she's college educated, she just doesn't really have experience in the music industry or anything, but she's like, she can learn it.
She can run hard and match your energy. Sometimes it's better to have someone who can match your energy than someone who's got like
All the skills.
all the
She's
skills.
very
per se.
driven.
If you're willing to Google, you can pretty much do what I do. That's like where I started with, for real. I didn't know shit when I started out, and it was just one failed project at a time, and then I figured it out, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, so she's got a lot of skills. I should give her a shot. I don't want to regret not doing that because I'm doing a lot on my own. So she probably, if she wants to like really pull calls to leave her job, she works at Accenture, which I don't know, it's a big.
Yeah, for sure.
So she's gonna be freeing up her time, at least if not halfway, like fully leaving. So I was telling her she should keep her job and do it part-time, but I told her yesterday that I would be open to her like helping out if she still had any interest, because we talked about it last summer. She helped me put on my birthday show when I released my Love Team single. It was like a single I released last summer.
Okay.
And it did really well. So she definitely showed me she has a lot of skills and like she's driven and she can rise to the occasion. So management. And then my mom is very driven to help, but she's like a mom. You know how mom is like writing in all caps and posting and like, go check out that. I'm like, Mommy, no. But
The sister sounds like a better option to me, but.
yeah, not to manage,
Yeah.
but like a different role.
Okay,
Oh, we're
okay.
just talking about manager right now, right?
No, just anything. You're totally, yeah.
I have people I can plug in different
Yeah,
roles.
okay, cool. And even with your sister, like, even if you don't wanna have her be like fully a manager to start, like, it seems like she knocked that project out of the park. Why not
Mhm.
just give her a project here and there, you know, like, maybe work on the next release cycle with her and see like how that feels
Yeah.
and, you know, have her maybe hop into some of your accounts,
Yeah.
you know, your artist accounts and stuff and try to get familiar with some of that stuff and
Mhm.
see if it's anything she has like an aptitude for.
Yeah.
Awesome. Mixie, you want to chime in with anybody in your squad you feel like you could kind of like add to a team for you?
Yeah, so right now, I'm working with like Free World and we're working on music. We just brought in a whole group of like the younger kids and they're really into rapping.
Okay.
But they're all pretty different and so I'm excited about them to help them with like image and then just build that team like you said. Everything comes down to having a really solid team. So I'm really pushing like writing is important, collaboration, like songwriting it within a room is like so vital and I feel like that's what people might miss sometimes in the Twin Cities. It's like, oh, I do my own songwriting and like that's cool, but when you have just, even if they're from different angles, it just builds that like team and now everybody, like we can make more hits because we're thinking, it's like the energy, you know, it's a collective energy and everything's flowing well. So I'm excited to see just everybody come together.
Sure. And the sum can definitely be greater than its parts a lot of times, so that's really cool.
In a super practical sense too, everybody always brings something different to the table. You know, outside of creative stuff, it's like everybody has different resources and plugs and whatever, and so, you know, we definitely bootstrapped like crazy for the first 5 or 6 years that we were a business, and it was all just based on, all right, we would more make videos based on what resources we could get for free, not what concept we wanted to shoot. You know, it was like, oh, we can get access to a horse ranch for free. All right, well, we're gonna throw some horses in the video then, I guess. You know, all right, cool. Well, then I think I'm just gonna hop right into the marketing plan outline today. Again, this is kind of the this outline is the same outline I follow for building the marketing plans for whether it's a prof full-length release or a Cash Nova music video or a Macker music video, whatever it is. I basically follow this more or less. I'm going to briefly go through it tonight, but we'll continually talk about it over and over again. So if you feel lost at any point in time, or if you feel like I'm using vocabulary that you're not familiar with, don't trip on it at all. We'll just kind of get through the bigger parts tonight, and then we'll go into the minutia of all these components over the next couple weeks here. So to start, I always like to kick off with a section for my marketing plans, especially if I'm sending it to external people or I'm trying to pitch somebody on something. I always like to include what's called an executive summary. This is just a really basic description of the project. So if somebody who is not as fully invested in it as you are, you know, you're trying to basically grab them into what it is you're doing, this is a good kind of place to do that basically. So you want to be concise here. You also want to kind of tease your largest goal. So an example of this would be like, you know, real quick, crappy executive summary would be, we're going to be dropping Mac Herb's full-length project, The Breakthrough, on January 15th, 2021. The Breakthrough is Mac Herb's second full-length LP, and we hope to grow his audience size X amount percentage and his Spotify followers, blah, 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 and recoup the album by X date or something like that. You know, you'd probably maybe just keep it to one goal or two goals, but you're more or less kind of giving folks the headline of what it is you're doing. The second section of your marketing plan should include your goals and objectives. I'm sure you guys are all familiar with doing this kind of stuff, whether it's on just like a mental level, you know, setting little goals for yourself day to day, all that kind of stuff. But I found that as I've gotten older, I've gotten away from really mapping out what those goals should look like, even on a you know, very minute sense and a project by project sense, because I get so caught up in, oh, in 2 years we're going to be taking this shit over, and Prof's going to be doing stadiums everywhere, Mac Herb's going to be, you know, fucking #1 artist on Billboard, blah, blah, blah. And I forget that I got to think about how do we get Mac Herb to 3,000 Spotify followers, you know? And so it's really helpful to map out even those really tiny goals. And I've outlined on the marketing plan notes that you guys have kind of how I make good goals. It's not anything revolutionary, it's just the SMART technique. You want specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely goals. If you guys want any, you know, additional questions on that, you can always Google that particular like format, or we could talk after class, but I don't want to go into that too crazy right now. But again, it is important to define your goals, and it is important to really have them be like, you know, seriously attainable and have some metrics behind that shit. Don't just go, I want people to like this video, or I want this to do better than my last video. How much better do you want it to do than your last video? What does that mean in terms of total views? how long of a timeline are you talking about here? You know, all those kind of things. So really take the time to map those out. I think you will find that you'll be rewarded because you'll end up achieving some of those goals faster than you would have if you didn't think about it.
And they're great because you know, so this is an email, Mike's just gonna describe the whole email. That comes out to our team, so we see that stuff, and the whole team, you create it. And as a team, it's like, this is awesome, okay, we gotta hit these things, we do these things, we watch those views, and then, oh crap, we gotta push some more here, push some more here. Like, it gets everybody motivated, which is
For sure.
So it's not just, so it's good for you to have those goals too, but just remember you're also motivating everyone who's working with you. Whether that's one manager, or ends up being 2 people, or ends up being you got your street team, or whoever it is.
That's a really good
Yeah.
point. Or you're just your audience at large. I mean, we're all familiar with doing this shit nowadays, but okay, my goal with this social media post is getting X amount of comments. I can say that shit in the
Okay.
description. Put it in, you know.
Get this to 100,000,
Yeah,
and we'll do
exactly.
something
Yeah.
cool. You know, get to
Tell your fan base, I need this to hit 10,000 views by the end of the week, and if that happens, this is what your reward is, you know, whether that's content, whether that's a giveaway, whether that's something, you
A
know,
live performance.
whether that's a live performance, you know. Tell them your goals, they'll help you achieve that shit, especially if you're doing a good job of taking care of those fans.
So make it a reach, but a realistic reach, not like 10 million views and like it's, you know, come on. Unless you're there.
Well, because then if you do that, then you're just smashing shit, and you just set up the next goal for your audience, you know, and you just keep pushing it along.
Keep it real.
Okay, cool. In interest of time, we're gonna keep moving along pretty quick here. After goals and objectives, we got our target market. I'll talk about that in depth in the next section. That's basically just who your audience is. The 4th section of the marketing plan is the marketing mix. This is the 4 P's of marketing, which is product, what it is you're selling, and all the definitions and all the different pieces that go along with that. The pricing, obviously music, some of that stuff is pretty set, and in like a lot of times in shows and stuff, there's you only have so much choice with some of that, but there is some strategy in pricing still to this day, and there's definitely pricing within your merchandise, and you know, pricing strategies within other things, monthly subscriptions, all that sort of stuff. So there are some different things to approach there, even though usually nowadays music is free. We'll talk a little bit about placement, which is basically just your distribution. This will be helpful because I think we've seen that we got some folks in here who have their music in some places but not everywhere, and there's no reason nowadays that you can't just be ultra accessible. But this can also apply to, like, for a show, what venue are you going to be at, or for a piece of merchandise, are you going to sell just on Shopify? Are you going to be in stores? Are you going to go through somebody else's store because they have better traffic? And then lastly, we'll talk about promotion, and this is kind of the fun bit. That's the part I really like to talk about. That's how do we get on Spotify playlists? How do we pump our social media numbers? How do we game the algorithms to try to get new additional viewers and discovery? Then we go to section 5, which will be your budget and your calendar. I don't really have much to say on that. It's pretty self-explanatory. If anybody wants a sample budget from me, or anybody wants to see maybe what a sample calendar has looked like from a previous marketing plan I've done, do not hesitate to reach out. I'll totally provide that for you.
I want that.
Okay, cool.
Now, so I forget.
Yeah.
And sorry I'm talking so fast. We just have a lot to cover tonight, so. I'll just send that to all 3 of you guys, just to make sure, or all 5 of you guys. Just make sure you'll have
Yeah,
it.
send it to me for sure, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That'll help you figure out, you know, if your target launch date is X, how far back do you need to be working to get to there, and what do you need to be doing on the way up to launch? So.
And it's totally cool if your budget's $0. Honestly, 90% of the projects I do, even for profit, my budget is $0. But I still think about, how am I going to spend my time budget, and you know, what does the calendar look like, and all that kind of stuff. Are there free ways that I can get the most out of the project that I'm working on? Cool. And everybody got one of those marketing plan outlines? Does everybody have one of those bad boys?
that's cool.
That's also in the Google Drive that we have up there already. So if you guys need another copy of that, you can just go there. We're gonna head over to the target market section. I think this is one of those pieces that a lot of folks tend to overlook, but is really, really important. And a target audience is just basically like, who is your customer? And it can also be kind of, who do you want your customer to be for this specific project? So, you know, the book definition is a target market is a group of customers within a business's serviceable available market which they will aim their marketing efforts. And the reason why it's important to define a target market is because you have limited resources. Everybody does, even Coca-Cola or, you know, Amazon or whatever. Even though it's a lot, it's still limited. and they have to choose where they're going to spend their money. And the way you choose where you're going to spend your money is based on, you know, what audience do you think is most likely to engage with your product, or what audience would you like to engage with your product, and how can I effectively spend to reach those folks. Different ways you can define your target audiences that are helpful would be based on your demographics. This is kind of like the more traditional stuff that people would like to think of. Demographic stuff, age, gender, income. Stuff like that's super important, because if you're selling a Maserati, you're probably not going to target somebody who's making less than $20,000 a year. One, that's going to drive yourself crazy because you're going to be getting bad spends all day long. But two, that's like, you know, that's just going to piss that person off. So it is important to think about those things. You know, another good example would be a product for children. You probably wouldn't market that to a single person as best you could, because that would be wasted dollars, unless it's something that they would give as a gift or something, as an example. Another important thing to think about within music would be your geographic targeting. I do so much targeting on like Facebook and IG. I do a ton of targeting within like Spotify ad buys, and YouTube and stuff. I feel like for you guys, if you're doing road shows or if you're just doing shows in town, geographic targeting, if you guys do any FB or IG buys, I'm sure you're doing, Minneapolis only, or the markets that you're going to, or whatever. Obviously, you don't want to be marketing to people in China for a show that's happening in, Atlanta or something like that. It doesn't make any sense. So that would be kind of your geographic targeting there. Psychographics are kind of a fun one. And that's something that has, I think, become more and more important as we've been able to, demographics and geographics are really easy nowadays. Anybody can go on FB and IG and go, I want 10 to 15-year-old people who live in Alabama, who seems like they have a dog based on what they've looked at previously in their stuff. Okay, that's really easy to get to nowadays. But what's cooler now is they also allow you to target some psychographic stuff. So that'd be like interests and attitudes and opinions and all that kind of stuff. And so for us, we do a ton of psychographic targeting through, we target a lot of comedians with a lot of cross content. I've recently started targeting Tom Segura and Your Mom's House podcast and some of the raunchier, more tongue-in-cheek podcasts and shit like that. Macker, we will target a ton of lyrical, really top 40 type of artists. Your J. Cole's, your Reasons, folks like that. So that's something that you should really think about, and you should really start to dial in. And what's really cool nowadays is Spotify and all these different tools that you're on tell you who your target market is. There's no guess game anymore. Back in the day, I used to have to go, what should we target for this particular song, or that particular song, whatever. It's kind of set up for you now. So if you check out here, you can go to a lot of your different platforms, and you can see kind of what your gender breakdowns are, what your age breakdowns are, what other listeners are listening to, who listen to your music. So, okay, so for Cash, it seems like it would be an obvious target to maybe target Mers's audience or Greaves' audience if we wanted to do an ad spend. Or I know Mers and Greaves. I could probably get Cash Nova on their Twitch shows or something like that. So that's a good way to inform, actually use your target marketing to inform your marketing efforts. You can also kind of see here geographically where your stuff's coming from, whether it's your country or your city, and that would obviously inform, tour dates. I'm trying to think of what else, where you're going to do your ad spends on certain videos, that kind of things. So.
And again, we start about Facebook, and you can literally go in and they give you the option to do this stuff now, which is amazing. Yep. But let me just, another way to know your target, these are great ways to know your target market. Another great way, and probably the most important way, engage with your fans and you'll know who they are and what they like. That's, again.
For sure.
And we would definitely work with artists, who I won't name, who sometimes think their target market isn't what it actually is. And that's one thing you got to watch, right? Is that I think I'm this. It's well, do you know are you saying I want to be this? Because if you want to be that, that's not who your audience actually is right now. So think about those things.
You can always fight to reposition to get to a desired target audience, but you have to think about that. You have to strategize towards that, and you're definitely probably not going to get as easy of spends and as effective at ROI as you would on just targeting the people that come easy for you.
Right.
But that's okay if that's what if
you can reposition for sure, but you know where you are today.
Yep. You definitely have to be realistic about it.
Yeah.
And you'd be beating your head against the wall all day long if you're like, my music, I'm the biggest J. Cole fan ever, and I love J. Cole, and he's the shit, but your shit sounds nothing like J. Cole. Don't target J. Cole, you know? You can want it all you want, but it's not gonna happen, you know, so. Good
I've got a
interjection.
question on that.
Yes.
I've done Instagram ad boosts in the past, and it seems like the engagement isn't actual engagement, it's like bot engagement. Is there a way to avoid that when you're typing in the demographics and everything?
You know, I guess I haven't had a huge issue with botted engagement on Facebook and Instagram advertisement. So maybe let's pull yours aside and see, we could just go into your Facebook ad channel and kind of look at everything.
That'd be nice.
I think that I would definitely start by maybe just targeting like the states. I know that if you target internationally, sometimes you get bad clicks out of like Russia and China and places like that.
Yeah.
We've definitely seen that on different ad channels before, but I haven't seen it as much through FB and IG. But yeah, let's talk a little bit more about that and see if we can find out why you might be getting bad spends. I've also found that like engagement ads are good, but it really is for specific, you know, you really have to have a specific goal in mind with what you're trying to accomplish, and you have to be ready to engage back with it really heavy as well.
Okay.
Awesome. Does anybody else have any other questions on like target audiences or why that's important? Maybe other ways you could define target audiences? Ashley, would you give us an example of what maybe you'd think like a target audience might look like for you?
This has like always been my hardest thing, because when I meet my fans, when I engage with them, like who comes to my shows, like 2 middle-aged white guys came out to my shows. Like, I came out here for you, and then like online though, I have also like, you know, millennial black women my age, up to like people my mom's age, my mom's friends. Like it's like a large spectrum of kids. People tell me their kids love my music, so I don't really know like who I'm supposed to be, because my music from song to song, really, one song might be, you know, neo soul, next song might be more R&B pop, some might be more kid friendly than the other. Like, I just make whatever I feel, and I think that's part of my problem, is that I'm just kind of like all over the place, and so I really don't know what my target audience is.
You do have like the Spotify for artists thing, you use that?
I know that it tells me that I have
Yeah.
listeners
But you
primarily
feel
in
like it maybe is
Minnesota,
different depending on
LA.
the piece and yeah.
You say it again?
You're feeling like it might be different depending on the song and depending on, yeah.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. I just feel like there's listeners out there that I don't even know are listening, because a lot of my fans are not following me.
Okay.
Like my numbers, my listenership,
Yeah.
way higher than the people I interact with online.
Okay.
Probably my fault, because I'm not really great with social media. But like, I know it's like pretty half and half men and women. It's like
Okay.
55% women, 45% male, so.
Okay.
I mean,
I think maybe for you, what the lesson is then is, it's maybe not demographics being the strongest thing that is the tie that binds your listeners. Maybe it's more the psychographics. You know, like maybe we can identify like a different artist, or is there another hobby that all these people do that happen to be in the same thing, or is there some other? Are they all involved in the same community organization? Is there, you know, some other way that we can sort of like bucket these folks so that maybe we could go find similar audiences and go, okay, this is the audience we have right here. Here's a lookalike audience that's pretty similar to the folks that we've already got. Let's try throwing some ads their direction and see if they, you know, see if they bite and see if they like it and stuff. And then, so then it's not as focused on like, it has to be 18 to 23 and it has to be a man from blah, 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 blah. You know, maybe it's more on the interest and hobbies kind of side of things. Yeah. Ooh, I like that. Sweet, well then let's hop into to products. This might seem a little bit like goofy because we're,
Can I ask a quick question real quick?
yes sir, Rich.
So I just gotta go back to that real quick. Can I just ask real quick, who are some of your musical influences?
I really like India Arie, growing up music soul child. I love listening to Bruno Mars. I feel like Bruno Mars is probably an influence to Rihanna, Chris Brown, Sabrina Claudio more recently, like not an influence, but somebody I really enjoy listening to. I don't listen to a whole lot of music nowadays, but growing up, it was like the mainstream artists, which had a little more R&B back then, like Lauryn Hill was more mainstream, like
Yeah.
her, Eric Badu.
Have you ever been in advertisements that have targeted some of those type of artists?
Have ever been in advertisements?
Have you ever run them, like yourselves? Have you ever like?
I haven't. For my Love Things video, the producer did the paid ads.
Okay.
I don't know what I think he was targeting geographical location. He was trying to get us to UK,
Okay.
Nigeria, so. I don't know. Did
It
that
was-
help anything?
It did a lot because the names that you were saying, like you have that part figured out already. Because you fit very well with those names that you just mentioned.
Okay.
And then I had a couple other that I wrote down just
Oh,
to
I
see
know.
if you were gonna say that. And you got one of them, so yeah, hit up.
Who else?
Well, I also had Jill Scott.
Yeah.
But I also have been listening to artists, I'll make sure I say it right, Tobe, T-O-B-E.
Toby the rapper?
Well, so I'll send it over to you, but it's him and then he has kind of like
Family?
a family, yes.
Oh, wait.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And when I listen to him, I'm hearing elements of your music as well, so that's kind of why.
That's
why I
It's
asked
funny
that.
because I'm always like hitting him like, look at this marketing that Toby's doing. Like,
Oh,
this
Toby kills it.
that marketing is
He's been
insane.
killing it since like day one too. Like
Yeah.
his first visual piece that I saw probably it was the one that Josh sent us over like 18 months ago or something like that.
Try
just
me,
jocking.
try Jesus, not me.
Yeah, it was
He's
just
older than
super
that.
impressive. It was striking as fuck. Yeah.
That's because he be working with Eric Thomas people.
Oh, okay.
The motivational speaker.
Yeah.
So like, it's like, yeah, they got him and there's another one, he got like a smaller arm, he got like injured in like, he's a motivational speaker too.
Okay.
Like, yeah, like once you start watching like Eric Thomas stuff, like all these other, y'all start popping up, so.
Yeah.
Eric Thomas is that like really like he's a bulldog type of dude.
Yeah.
He's funny as hell. Yeah.
Yeah, they have the marketing down.
Yeah.
Yeah, that marketing is solid as sick.
Yeah,
Those visuals are killer.
y'all watch them all the time.
Yeah.
That was a really good
So
question, Rich. I'm glad you brought that up. I'd love to, if you're down, spend like $50 supporting your next single and just see what we get. Let's do a bunch of like different ads that target
Like
different
watch.
artists
Yeah,
and
that-
see kind of what the best.
Simulation?
Yeah. Well, I mean, no, look,
No,
just
okay.
I mean,
really-
not simulation like a real thing, but like
Yeah.
when we watch and see how you like, the thought process that goes behind each decision, what to
Yeah.
say things that.
We'll do, I'll just save it for class then. We'll just do it in class next week.
Okay.
Just run through and just, well, I'll have a couple ads already set up, so we don't have to do all of them, but we'll
Okay.
run through a few, so we can
Cool.
kind of get it
We
rolling.
can do it for the music video.
And everyone can
Music video
watch.
will be out by then.
Everybody can watch what we're doing.
Thank you. That's
Yeah.
cool, thank you.
It's hard to drive folks it's hard to drive folks off platform consistently, especially to YouTube with
Oh.
Facebook. Are you gonna be hosting it on Facebook, the video itself, or are you gonna do just?
You know what
YouTube?
I was just thinking YouTube, but I'm sure I'm missing some like ideas that might be good ideas, like
I would
in multiple
consider
places.
like distributing it to as many places as you possibly can. So Facebook and YouTube are like definitely places I would put the full video for sure.
And Instagram TV, IGTV.
I would consider Instagram TV. I'm not as committed to that platform, but
Okay.
like if you find that a lot of your fans live there, consider it. You know,
I mean,
especially
that's
if you're
where I'm most
monetizing. What's that?
That's where I'm most active. I don't know if I'm
Yeah.
on the right platform, but that's where I am.
I mean, I found nowadays that you definitely want to just meet people where they're at. It's like it makes you feel good to have a big number in one place, but it's better to just have a better, bigger cumulative number and a bigger fan base, in my opinion. We used to just put everything on YouTube and just try to chase everybody down to go there, but then I saw the drop off from Facebook to YouTube, which was so crazy, and I don't even have to do anything with the Facebook uploads across videos, and they just work their little magic and stuff, and like he got like 1.5 million on squad goals, and we literally did not post it once, not once.
That's all the groundwork you laid before.
There's definitely some interest that exists there already, and some name value and all that kind of stuff, but I just I hadn't been doing that, and I was missing 1.5 million views. And not that we're necessarily monetizing those views in the same way we are YouTube, but I've seen a shit ton of discovery come through there where we see people go, what the fuck is this? This crazy ass video. And then I respond immediately, yeah, it's, what's up, my prof? Here's a link to my new record. Check out the whole thing if you like the video. And we are seeing streams go up across the board, yeah. Yep. All right, cool. Shit, I'm gonna respect you guys' time, so we'll go really fast through this rest of these bits.
Skip my bit, I'll do it.
All right, so product is obviously just, it's like the thing you are, either the product or service that you're selling. It really helps me to mentally kind of determine the features and benefits of that product, even if you just kind of have it in your head. Obviously, music for us is going to be the core product most of the times, but like almost never is music standalone. There's a title. Title is just as part of the music as the music. That can definitely impact, will people click on your YouTube video, or will they click on that stream link when they see it? If it's got a real dope, catchy title. If your single artwork's really good, that's gonna impact, what happens with the rest of your marketing, and will people engage with it, all that kind of stuff. So, don't just think, okay, I got my music done, I got really good music, my product's done. That's not the case. You definitely, it's a full, robust package. You definitely want to consider your target market when you're creating your product as well. You don't necessarily want to make comedy for the fans that exist or make music for the fans that exist, but I would consider, if you're going to go way out of pocket, consider that in how you frame something. It's going to shock your listeners, or it's going to shock your audience, so maybe give them a heads up on it or something like that. Or maybe that's what defines you, is that you change your style all the time. Like Ashley, I feel like you're a lot like Prof, where people don't necessarily know what to expect, but they know it's going to be high quality every single time. So yeah, maybe it's an R&B song this time and it's a rap song next time, but it's not shocking because they know, they've come to expect that you're going to be kind of all over the place.
Right.
Let's see here. So product examples in a business would be, or in the music business would be like an audio only single that has a title and single artwork, and then as many associated social media assets as you can get with it. You also have like a video single, so that would be a slightly different product, because you're going to have to think about marketing a video versus marketing just a Spotify link or just an Apple Music link. Obviously, a physical EP, LP, merch product. Those things are completely different marketing plans versus a digital product. Same with a fan experience, a show, digital products. Actually, that's like
How do you choose which products to create in relation to which projects or songs? For specifically, I want to know, should I be doing music videos for? I know not every song should have a music video because it's expensive, but how do you choose which one to do a lyric video or merch or?
I think it's really a function of your resources, to be honest with you, and kind of some of that's your decision making. We can't make. If I could, I'd make a video, a lyrics video. I would get a feature on every song, and I would
do that for every song.
Yeah, we would do that, and we would be dropping 4 a week. You know what I mean? But because of limited resources, we do have to kind of pick and choose and all that kind of stuff. So I would just say that I've definitely found that there seem to be obvious winners for us, and when we invest in those obvious winners, where it's good ROI, and we've definitely invested in album cuts, and that's been cool for maybe. The fan obsession thing, and kind of taking care of the really core fan base. But in terms of really getting out there, I would lean into those songs that sound like singles.
Right. Okay. That's how.
I mean, it's such a changing game too. I would hate to shoo you away from something because LMI had Boot Up, and that's not that wasn't a single people would guess would fucking break somebody or something, but it totally broke her. So who the fuck knows?
I remember the first time I heard that song. Anyway.
Yeah. Also, quick note on shows. It's really, really important in this section of your marketing plan to define everything within what your product is. That's your show vitals. Your product is the venue. Your product is the who else is on the bill with you. Your product is kind of is there anything else you can curate throughout the night to make it more exciting or make it more robust? We don't just go, all right, Prof's performing, cool, we'll see it. No, we got to figure out what time is stuff at so we can communicate that to fans. What are the age restrictions? That definitely changes your marketing plan and who you define as your target audience and all that kind of stuff. So when you're doing a show, make sure you really clearly define all those bits as early as you possibly can, because it's ridiculous, but I have totally showed up at venues and places early on in Prof's career where the promoter didn't even know what the fucking age restriction was at the club, or they didn't know what the ticket price was that night, and I was like educating them about their own show, you know, so.
Well, that's great, we should invite all our 18 fans for a 21 and over show.
Definitely happened where a promoter told me that we had an 18+ show in Milwaukee. It ended up being a 21+ club venue. So the promoter, they were the ones communicating with the venue. That's what I was relying on them to do, is their job as a promoter. So then I had a bunch of customer service failures to take care of at that point in time. I had 10 people drive from the Twin Cities all the way to Milwaukee who were under the age of 21 that I ended up having to, I think I got them on like 4 or 5 guest lists after that, and we sent them out like each $100 merch pack that was all signed with Prof with handwritten notes that were like, I'm so sorry, you know, here's some merch for your gas money, da 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 da.
Or like,
shit. Yeah.
we gonna have the after party after the show, y'all just go hang out here, some money for pizza.
Yeah, right?
And most of those people, I actually know that like, there's half dozen of them for sure that are still diehard fans, and they come after show every day.
That's good.
We'll keep it really quick here on the image and visual section of your product. This is kind of just more of a general note. It doesn't apply to specifically anything necessarily, but you know, with music, with the photos that you put up on your social media, with the music videos that you put out, with the stories that you put up, it's all part of a cohesive story and image that you're trying to portray to your audience. I would say that especially nowadays, it's really important that that image is like consistent, and it's also pretty genuine to who you are as a person. If it's really far away from who you are on a daily basis, unless it's like a character that you're pushing, and it's obvious that it's a character, it's just really tough to stay in a mental headspace that isn't your own. You know, it's hard to be inauthentic for too long, especially if you start to get popularity in that space and you pigeonhole yourself in that space. I'm not going to name any names, but we just had a really big weed rapper on a feature for Prof, and he shot a video for a video part for us for that song. And I set him up with like, you know, a couple $100 worth of weed and blunts and the whole thing, so he could just smoke out like crazy during the part. And he ended up tapping out like halfway into the first blunt. I was so disappointed, man. You know, like I was like, come on, we got to get a good video part of this deal. So
like, I don't actually smoke.
Wow.
So
Weed rappers now.
that's just one thing that needs life.
Yeah.
I'm sure every green room that dude goes into, it's weed in his face, and people are smoking back there, and the whole thing, because that's the image you put out there, and now he's stuck with that shit, you know?
Yeah.
So, just one small example, but there definitely are like more important examples of that too. You know, if you push out things that are against your morals, your ethics, you have to live with that shit, you know? And that's something to consider. And you always want to be, I've definitely have been a part of different art that has been really challenging for folks in the past, and I've had to live with those decisions, and I thankfully I stand by the decisions that we made, but you know, I get shit for them constantly, so be ready to stand by your decisions, and be ready to stand by your image and who you are and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, ultimately it just comes down to your product is never just your music. There's always a full, robust personality that goes behind that if you're doing shit right. Sweet. That's all I have for this class session. Looking over to next week, we're going to be talking about photo and video productions.
No, you can say some things.
Sorry. And we're also going to talk about physical product production next week as well. So I'll bring in like LPs, CDs. We can talk about the difference between different like jewel cases and digipacks, and then single LPs versus double LPs, all that sort of shit. So this one still kind of applies to you guys, because I mean, comedy records still do okay. You know, I don't know, you probably know better than I do, but
Yeah, somebody just won a Grammy
okay, yeah.
for a comedy album.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Rich.
Well, no, all I was going to say is, I know it seems like we're kind of rushing right now because of we said we were just going to hold you guys here until 8 o'clock. But going forward, do you think we might need to expand it out a little bit, maybe? Possibly?
We're gonna stick around, so if you guys want, I mean, you just want to respect your time. You need to get out of here at 8, Jet. We're sticking around, we can keep talking.
I got one, man. I'll leave right now.
I got you.
Okay, I mean, yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. Well, we can definitely keep going. I'll always try to keep it within that 7 to 8 bounds, but then afterwards we'll just stick around. We can chop it up about the topics that we discussed over the evening, or if you guys want to go into other bits that just are pressing in your career, that's cool too.
I'll hit the legal piece. I'll hit the piece I was going to talk on.
Oh, yeah, let's
just
do
real
that,
quick.
actually, yeah.
And this is a little bit about
So this is a quick note on music products.
music product piece. So we talk about sampling, right? You've listened to tons of stuff that has lots of sampling. I'll hit you with the legal piece and some of the practical on that. Mike can jump in, especially on the practical piece. So on the legal piece, so things you can do. You can cover a song. You want to cover a song. You want to cover Purple Rain. You want to cover another song. You want to make that. You can do that without permission from another artist. You don't need to get an artist permission to cover a song. Okay, you can use the same lyrics, same rhythms. You can't use the actual sound recording. You have to make your own sound recording, but you could do that.
So if you find an instrumental, you can't just use the instrumental straight up. You'd have to have somebody re-instrument it.
You have to re-instrument it, but you can sing it. And what you get the sound recording royalty off that, which is about 80% of what the revenue that comes off that song is. So like Weezer covers Africa by Toto, right? Weezer gets, instead of getting 100% of the stuff coming off that song, they get 80%, all the sound recording royalty. And that'd be worth it, because like a bunch of people love that song. They're like, shit, if you get 80% of a song that's already cracking, and then everyone's going to listen to your new version, that's great. And you don't. But again, if you're going to stream it, you don't even have to get any permissions at all. If you're going to create physical copies, or you're going to have it digitally downloaded on Apple, then you do need to get a license, but it's compulsory, so you don't have to ask for it. You can just there's a service I can turn you on to that will do that for you, and it'll just like pay out the stuff you need to pay out. The person who created the song, who wrote it, like with Dolly Parton, right? The Bodyguard, Whitney Houston, right? It's Dolly Parton's song. So when Whitney did that, Dolly's getting 20% of all the revenue coming off that song. Every time Whitney Houston sings it, right? That's because she wrote it a long time ago. But Whitney didn't have to go get permission. Now she might have talked to Dolly about it because that's the way that might have been done. But she didn't have to get permission to do that. She did it, and she just did some compulsory stuff. That's covered. Now when you talk about actually using the sound recording, right? If you want to
say you want to do
take Dre
freestyle to a super poppin' beat right now, which is something that's totally valid still.
Totally.
Yep.
The legal is you can't use even 1 second of that song without permission. Okay, this is the legal. Now we'll get to what practically happens, because I hear this stuff all the time. What are you talking about? But the legal is you can't use it without permission, and the practical goes like this: you getting sample clearance for up and coming artists is like impossible. Like you can go ask, it ain't gonna happen. They're not gonna pay attention to you unless you throw some real big dollars behind it, which ain't worth it. All right, but
that's sample or instrumental.
That's sample, yes, or instrumental piece. But so you got to think about, but everyone's listening to this stuff because what you're not trying to get is cash off that necessarily. You're trying to get clout. You're trying to get so people listen to your stuff and then channel them somewhere else where you actually have your own original music. And that's really the play, right?
So a good example of usage of something like this would be, there's an artist, a lot of artists do this, but Dax and Mercules and a couple other people, if you look them up on YouTube, they will take the most poppin' Big Sean song that's out then, and they'll do a freestyle to it.
Yep.
They make sure to tag it like crazy, Big Sean freestyle, blah, 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 the song name, Dax version. And even though they're not making any money off that, that all goes to whoever the copyright holder is on the actual original song. The YouTube Content ID thing will just pick it up automatically, send it to that person. But what's dope about that for that artist is that all those eyes on their channel still count. That still counts as building a community. That still counts as nurturing your algorithm and all that kind of stuff. So if you're trying to do a video a week as an example, it's really difficult to make a full original song every single week and a full original video every single week or whatever. So how about this? How about we do lyrics video and an official video for your original song every month? So that's 2 weeks there. Okay, cool. We'll do a freestyle to an existing beat every month. Okay, cool. That's 3. And then we'll do a cover for the 4th song every month. All right, cool. Now that makes stuff a little bit more approachable, so I'm not relying on my creative juice to do 100% of the stuff. But again, you're still bringing new eyes in too. And there's almost some benefit to doing that because it's not just an Ashley DeVoe song. It's not just a Mixie song. If you tag Eminem, Rap God, Freestyle, Ashley DeVoe's version, you're going to be seeing a lot of discovery coming through on YouTube search and through different search mechanisms and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, you can only live in certain places. You're not going to send it to Spotify because they would get mad at you and strike it down. You're not going to send it to Apple Music and because again, you're not trying to make money off of it. You're just trying to use it to get eyes on it. Where it would live would be Facebook, IG, YouTube, SoundCloud, exactly.
And
I was watching this one guy on YouTube. And he said he does what Dax does, but instead he'll go to a producer and say, "Hey, can you recreate a beat that is close to this freestyle?"
Yeah.
And then you can monetize that.
Yep.
And then whenever like anybody looks up that, you'll be right up under it. And if like people are watching the whole video, that's like YouTube like, oh yeah, people like this, and so they keep it there. And it's like you still get the eyes, the clout, but you also still get the money.
That's the cover concept where you re-instrumentalize. You're not using the actual sample.
Yeah.
You're re-instrumentalizing.
We did an entire cover project one time and just threw it on the Nerve DJ's website. And by doing that, got over 20,000 spins or whatever off of that, which was actually the most that the artist had ever got.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it was
Yeah.
like everybody was tuning in because he covered Drake, he covered all these artists and killed it.
Yep. And and a guy like on our side, we're like, we definitely want to create original beats. So we don't want to have share that. Or, I mean, he'd probably do a mix. He'd probably do a mix too sometimes.
He'd maybe do a freestyle.
But if you'd like,
that, yeah.
again, you're not going to monetize that kind of that mixtape concept, right?
Right.
So yeah.
I got a question.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have some material that my son passed in 2019, and he was my artist. I have some music that's unreleased, and he also did some remixes. And so I was on Harry Fox last night, looking to see if I can get him clear. Would that be the right way to get those?
I mean, the answer is yeah, but I don't know that they're going to pay any attention to you, unfortunately.
Okay.
But that's how you can do it. But and if you have good luck, then come back here and tell us all about it. I want to hear it. But I think it's been really hard for people to clear samples. Harry Fox is a sample clearer.
Yeah, we haven't, honestly, we haven't even tried, because every sample that we've had has been so tiny that we just tuck it in.
Okay.
And if it's big, then we just don't do it. But let's maybe look at what you specifically got going on,
Okay.
and if you could identify what, maybe send over an example, send over the MP3 of the song,
Okay.
send over the example of what the sample is, this is from, the sample is XYZ timestamp to this timestamp, and it's from, Jay-Z's blah, 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 blah song. And then we'll see if there's any chance in hell of clearing it, because a lot of the stuff is pretty tough. But here's the deal, is if you want to get it out there, we can probably just get it out there. I bet you can find a way to put it out there where it's not going to get flagged.
The YouTube content ID is really robust, but honestly, I've heard things on Spotify. I'm like, how did they get that beat in there? And so it can happen.
Mhm.
Now, if it gets big, they'll come knocking. But that's what you want. Okay, like Lil Nas X, right? He used that little beat, and he didn't know it, and he bought it from some kid off BeatStars who had actually sampled Trent Reznor's 9 Inch Nails song. And so when it came down to it, Reznor heard it, like, what? And so he went in and grabbed a bunch of the sound recording revenue Reznor did because they had not cleared that sample.
So
but I mean, Nas X is probably like, okay, I'll give you 25% of what I got because I didn't expect to have any of this. So, but I mean, at the same time, if it had been an own beat, he got another 25%.
Is it true that if the sample is under 30 seconds?
No, there's none of that stuff is that's not true. Now that may maybe there's some content ID things that would fool, but it's not the legal pieces. No.
I'm sure the more egregious it is, the
Right.
more likely people are going to hear the shit. You know what I
Right.
mean? But
Because we had got permission to use a sample of Sam Cooke's, but they told us that it had to be either under 30 seconds or we had to loop that sample that we used, that 30-second piece.
Okay.
And then we would be okay, but if it was 1 second past that, then there's a whole nother situation.
I think that my guess would be that Sam Cooke would still come up as content ID on YouTube, and it doesn't matter if it's 5 seconds or 30 seconds, it would still pop.
It would still pop.
But you could, if you have a document that says I have the right to use this.
That's when you can go to YouTube or someone and say,
It's-
I have the permission, here's the contract. They'll look at it.
I can show you, if you guys want to look at it, we can show you what a YouTube copyright challenge would look like. Okay, so I go.
Yeah, we've had a few. That's because it'll flag your distributor, so. If you put a video up and you've released your TuneCore, it'll on YouTube, TuneCore will claim it. If they're claiming your, so on TuneCore you can choose YouTube monetization.
Yeah.
They'll go find that stuff. They'll actually go and take 20% of your money off your YouTube if you have a YouTube channel. So we had whitelisted, so they would keep taking our money. Yeah, anyway.
So if you guys are familiar with the YouTube Creator Studio at all, If you're not, you definitely should be and get very familiar with it. YouTube is like a really, really great platform, especially for if you're a visual artist at all. It's a platform you got to be on. I was completely uneducated with how insane discovery is on this platform, honestly, until about like 18 to 24 months ago, and just get myself up to speed on best practices for the platform has done a fucking ton for our business.
It's also the best way, it's the best dollars for monetizing videos.
Yeah.
I mean,
Which one?
per view, YouTube.
YouTube. Yep.
As opposed to Facebook or IG.
Okay, so if you're on YouTube and you're a creator, you'll have this back end little deal here. You can go to your content section and you can see all the different like monetization statuses and copyright statuses of your different videos. This one here is being claimed by us because we, for whatever reason, I don't have this channel whitelisted, but I'll show you what I can do to challenge this. So you go in here, so you go to monetization on that video, and it'll say, you know, you're, it's hard to see. Okay, so it basically says that it's not eligible for monetization because there's a copyright being claimed. It looks like it's a copyright that's being claimed from TuneCore on behalf of Stophouse Music Group.
Yeah.
So I can leave this one because it ultimately is going to go back to us anyway. But let's say I didn't want to do that. Let's say I wanted to challenge it. What you do is you go in here and you can either replace song, mute song, or dispute. With the dispute, you literally just go through and select your different little options. If you dispute, you better own that fucking copyright, and you like better be ready to prove it and stuff like that with like either a contract or some type of document, because they YouTube can get in trouble if they're allowing you to use a copyright you don't have access to and all that kind of stuff, and you'll lose your ability to monetize and do certain things if you're constantly saying I have access to this money that you don't actually have access to. So don't do that if you don't have the right.
Comedy would be a little different, I guess. But you mean you can't take someone's joke word for word. But that's actually
Well, you would never do that.
That's copyright. But even like,
Yeah.
and then but really it's the code, the unwritten code of comedians
Yeah.
that really rules that stuff. Where you start ripping off guys and just changing a few things.
Yeah. We just had a conversation about that
You get
last
rolled
night where like they said like when you're an upcoming comic, of course, you know, it's okay to like, I wouldn't say steal, but like borrow, you know, but as you grow, you know, you're supposed to learn how to write on your own. But it also just helps, you know, who you establish who you are, or who you want to be like and stuff like that. But I was gonna say like, so say if I dropped a song, how would I get that copyrighted? So like, it's like,
So it is copyright just by when you write an original piece, and it's a really original piece.
right.
You own the copyright to it just because you just created it. And then when you publish it, that's just another step. You can go to the U.S. Copyright Office and file paperwork to do that, to have a copyright as well. You don't have to do that to get a copyright. You'd have to do that if you need to enforce that copyright. If someone else is using it and you want to go to a court, then you actually do need to have filings on it. But you know, there's not a lot of people. There's not a lot of battles on the copyright piece in music per se. But like you don't have to. There's nothing you have to file before it's official. It is if you, as long as it's yours, right? That you created, it's yours.
Especially if you had like the master session
Yeah.
and nobody else on earth has the master
There's a
session.
recording of it.
It would be pretty easy to prove that you were the original recorder of the session.
Yep. And that goes in time by when you create it, not when someone files on it. So.
Okay, makes sense.
Yep.
Hey, Rich, what was your portion?
You said what?
What was your portion? I know we had got it.
I had a quick question while we're on the
Yes,
topic
sir.
of copyright. So, can you get like back pay for songs that you own, somebody else has like hundreds of thousands of views on it and it's your song? And it's on your
It's your
page.
song.
It's your song, and you didn't mind when.
So somebody else's YouTube page.
Oh, okay.
So you should have been collecting that as you went. I don't think you can go back and retroactively pull that. Because what you would want to do is go flag it right away, and then what happens is it'll go to escrow, so the money will be held in like a floating fund, and then once you prove that you have copyright, it'll start getting directed.
Yeah, because if it doesn't, so YouTube makes money and pays us because of the ad on the front of it, right? And so if YouTube doesn't know that it's someone else's, they may not stick an ad on the front of it. And so even though someone watched it 100,000 times, if you didn't claim it, so to speak.
Well, I mean, the person, like, so we have plenty of songs that are out there that are songs that, like, say, Prof, for whatever reason, we weren't monetizing through like official channels because it was like maybe the only original song on a mixtape that had a bunch of non-original songs, and so we didn't really send it out to Spotify, and we didn't send it to YouTube Creator or YouTube Content ID, and so like Figure It Out, for example, is an old song of Ruff's that's pretty popular, and there are a couple different YouTube uploads of it that have like 50 to 100,000 views.
Someone else's.
Somebody got that money, not us. But as I see them, I go flag them and I say, hey, that's ours. If he makes money off of them, if he or she makes money off of them, send that stuff back to us because
Not
we're the
retroactive.
actual copyright owner.
Yeah.
But the stuff to date that I missed on, too bad, so sad. I didn't have it in the content ID system, so YouTube didn't know to remit the money my direction. I'm sure there's probably a world where you could get in a big pissing match with that person and try to sue them for the monetization that they pocketed, but
It ain't worth it.
it's not worth
at our
it.
dollars even. It's
Yeah.
not worth it at our dollars to do that.
It's probably not even worth it at
Yeah.
10 million, 20 million hits, so yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
There are other places where you can collect retroactively. We'll talk about that. We're talking about other ways to collect royalties, but this
Okay.
isn't one of them.
Can I ask one more?
Yeah, you can ask me.
Hopefully just quick. So what, is it okay to reference another song, like change the lyrics slightly, like for example, I don't wanna have to sing, but, so, you know, the Donnell, I think it's Donnell Jones, ooh, say what, say what, say what.
Yeah.
So I have that in my, just singing it, not a sample or anything, but I'm like, ooh, say what, say what, say what, you know that I like it, baby. Then I like change the next lyric. I'm trying to see what's up, a little time and all you need. Ooh. So like I change a few lyrics, but it's like.
And it's this much of a song as opposed to like the whole song? Or is the whole
but
song, is it the
that's
root for
like
the whole
the
song?
chorus. That's like a big part of the song.
How many times do you say it in your, like,
Just at the end.
just at the end?
Oh no, okay, so when Beat I Cry comes in, she's a feature rapper. She says it at the beginning of her rap, it's like, ooh, say what, say what, say what. You know that I like it, baby. Barbecue crazy, kids, and she starts going to her original.
Okay.
But then at the end of the song, we come back to that little spot and do that twice.
So the practical is, what are the chances that artist is gonna hear your thing and like get all fired up about it? Probably
I
no.
mean,
But,
in a ideal world,
yeah,
they
you hope,
blow up.
well, we wanna have this, so if the problem came, number one, you didn't like pull a sample, you have to pull a
I didn't-
sample.
Okay, so that's
Right,
not
you're-
considered a
Right, that's not considered a sample, so all you've done is kind of cover a portion of the song in your song, unless you're
Right.
covering the entire, whatever that
Right,
entire thing
just
is.
that portion.
Yeah, it's that portion, so then,
2 bars or 4
yeah,
bars.
in theory,
Right.
they'd come to you and say, hey, I want some of the publishing, I want some of the this is the 20% piece, not the 80% piece. I want some of the publishing out of that song, because you took a song I wrote and you're using it. The likelihood that happens is low, but let's say you blew up with a giant hit, they probably come to you and say, I want some of that. I mean, 50% of the song is that, or the hook is that, so that's worth 75% of the song, or
Right.
it just is a little instrumentation, so I want 10%. That's how that would probably get worked out.
If it's a great song, just put it out, like, for
Yeah,
sure.
I would, don't sweat that.
I'm just wondering if
Yeah, no, I
can
wouldn't
do
sweat that. I wouldn't sweat that.
Yeah.
Whereas if I took a big, like, if the whole behind the thing was the actual beat of that song, you were just playing it for instrumentation,
Okay.
even that starts to get more like, oh, I could be getting in trouble. Plus, you could hard time getting it actually distributed on Spotify or other places because they might ping the content ID.
Didn't
Yeah.
Cisco get ripped for a thong song?
That's
for
what I was just
the
thinking
movie
about.
Loco?
Yeah, there's lots of examples of like things.
All he said was "Viva la vida loca," and they said the guy owns like 80% of the
We also-
master or something. You saw the same
Yeah.
it's like a video online.
Yeah, I kind
Very
of wondered
interesting.
about that because I've been hearing that a lot lately on the radio, where you'll hear a song and then all of a sudden you hear like a few words from late
Like a little-
2000, early
Yeah.
2000, late 99, whatever. But
Yeah, in some cases they probably never thought the song was going to blow up. Then when it does, they're going to have a discussion about it. And right, the artist in theory who did that sample could say, I'm going to kill the whole song off, but that kills the golden goose, right? Like Trent Reznor didn't say take down, Old Town Road. What he said is give me 25% of Old Town Road. And I got the leverage for that because you used a sample, I could kill it off. But let's make everyone friendly. And so, so every time you hear that song, he's getting 25%.
Sting took like 80% of Juice WRLD's.
I heard about that, yeah.
Dream.
Yeah.
And it was the producer who didn't clear this out.
No, that's the other thing, we'll talk about that in a different time too.
But yeah, no.
You talk about beats, like if you go to BeatStars, one of those places, you gotta worry. Well, there's an easy way to do it is just to upload it to YouTube and then have YouTube's because they're the most robust content ID. You can just see if it catches any samples. So if I was buying a beat, I might wanna just say, hey, is it gonna catch any samples here? I'm gonna throw it in here and see what it does. If it does. you know,
Still
you're-
not a guarantee by any
It is not a
stretch.
guarantee.
But it's one place to start.
It's one place to start.
And you can do it privately, so obviously, you know, it doesn't show
Yeah.
up publicly on your account or anything like that. So you can just look online and it'll, you know, within 10 minutes of the upload, it'll tell you whether or not it's got any copyright flags and if it's ad suitable, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
What's the rule on sampling sound bites of someone just talking from the show or?
I think it's similar. I mean, it's not a show, it's similar. And honestly, I don't,
So like say you're taking a,
like Eddie
almost-
Murphy clip of
Yeah.
Raw or something.
Yep, okay.
It is the same, it's the same concept. I don't know how much of that spoken word stuff is in the content ID created. I presume that how much of it is.
I'm not sure.
As
I don't know,
opposed to sounds.
that's a really good question. I think we should probably follow up with you on it with a more specific.
Yeah, I'll
answer.
get you the answer.
Yeah.
I got something like that in one of my songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I took like a little excerpt from a comedian and put it at the front.
Okay.
And I was just talking to my producer, like, yo, like what do you think would happen? And so we haven't like really fully like released it. But,
Okay. Do you have it by chance? Like, do you have like an MP3 with it?
yeah, I do,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because we could, if you send it to me after class or whatever, I could try throwing it in YouTube and we just see if it
Yeah.
comes up for any reason, you know, like,
Yeah,
I don't know, yeah.
Because if I don't know, we don't
Yeah.
know how the spoken word, I don't know.
That's
I don't know
that's
the
a
spoken
really
word.
good question, really great question, because I really don't know, how much of movies and TV and all that kind of stuff is in these content ID systems, but I think they're probably more likely to get just like manually flagged by people being
The
like,
legal
"I know
principle
that."
is the same. You can't use it without permission. But what's the practical on actually getting it caught? I don't know the answer to that. Whereas on the song piece, a lot of that song stuff, like we've done it, we did a lot of industry stuff, and it, it just flagged, boom, it comes up, it's like, you can't use this. Or you can't monetize it.
I mean, I do, for what it's worth, I do remember back in the day, a couple of edits when we were on the road, I just dubbed like Charlie from Always Sunny
Yeah.
over the shit that we were making, and that didn't get flagged, but this was like a year and a half,
Yeah,
now, 2
yeah.
years ago, so I don't think it's changed, but
Yeah.
Well, and
that's
that's,
not an exact answer either, but it's kind of more.
No, I suppose.
what you're
I mean,
talking about.
so YouTube content ID is
Yeah.
probably not picking up a lot of like TV and
Network
movies
television.
and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I know for a fact if you started to sell some units on Spotify or
Yeah.
whatever it is, somebody's gonna reckon, if Charlie Day hears that song or somebody associated with
Yep.
Always Sunny would hear that on Spotify and Prof had 60 million streams on the song, they
Right.
probably would be like, we should go get a little bit of thread on this
Yeah,
deal,
for sure,
Yeah.
for sure.
Bring the money.
And then,
So similar.
And then, in the product, your guys were talking about merch. Is this a good time to like talk about merch or?
Yeah, we're gonna go on a full merch thing next week.
Okay, cool.
But, no,
Yeah.
but if you have a specific question, hit me. Yeah.
No, I just, yeah.
We can talk-
I
we
just
can talk
talk
about,
like how to move it, you know what I'm saying? 'Cause,
Yeah.
like, Cause like everyone's always like, hey, get merch. So I got like $2,000 worth of merch and then.
How do I move? I can't move.
Exactly, you know,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's, I just end up like
Well-
really just giving it away.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying, which is gonna help with just like you people seeing people in my merch.
Yeah.
It's like, I feel like now moving forward, I wanna have like a decent plan. So if we're gonna talk about it next week.
Yeah, we talk about it, because,
Yeah.
we talk about minimum buys and what makes sense and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the functional kind of side of it is really, especially like as you're, before you're doing like 144 unit orders of everything, blah, 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 it really is smart to just really be very succinct with how you order and be really smart with your cash flow and all that kind of stuff. Be realistic of what exists out there with your fan base. Stocking out of products is almost good at times because it creates psychological scarcity with your customers. So, it's awesome that you brought a ton of product and all that kind of shit, but maybe you could have just bought $500 worth of products, and maybe then you would have had no problem selling out, and then you would have been able to say, I sold out all my product in 2 weeks or whatever, and then that way you wait a month or two, and the next time you order up, it moves out the door fast. Your inventory turns are fast and stuff, because we definitely had that issue. There are times where we sit on certain products, and I'm just like, I got $5,000 of these stupid chef hats that are gonna be here for goddamn 10 years, it's you got to be smart about that stuff for sure.
Yeah, and we'll talk about margins and stuff like that too, so we know what you should be trying to get on your stuff.
Next Tuesday, same time.
Next Tuesday, same time, 7 o'clock for the next couple of weeks for sure.
When do we have because that week, we have a week in between where we're gonna do the photo shoots, right?
I think so, I forget what it was on our schedule.
We have,
I don't have it off the top
4
of my
weeks
head.
right off the bat, and the 5th, I think it's the 5th week.
Yeah, I don't think so I think we were just gonna toss that in whenever.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Is it gonna be all stylized and stuff, or is it gonna be like a headshot kind of promo photo type?
anything we feel
Standard.
like.
It's whatever you want to
Let's
do.
get creative.
I mean,
If you
this
feel like
is
bringing a
nice.
whole wardrobe, we got
Cody,
a
you got
whole
time?
photography.
Cody, you want to do a photo
Oh,
shoot?
really?
Sure.
I mean, you haven't seen no
Okay,
photo.
I'll-
Is this your building?
I'm gonna just.
Well, it doesn't belong to
Easy.
I'm-
But,
Well,
yeah.
yeah,
But I'm
I-
part
I think
of
it's April
the
20th.
situation.
Okay, that's, no, I
Actually,
haven't had it.
I still gotta do the tour.
I think we're talking April 20th. I think we do 4 weeks, 4 weeks in a
Maybe
row,
next
and then the
week.
I had
15th is gonna
somebody
be.
there surprise you.
No,
but
yeah, what was it?
missed you.
Regardless, we'll just follow up with email.
We'll follow up, we'll follow
We'll do
up.
a class
Your
on
cousin
420.
from California?
He was in California.
It's cool. I don't smoke. I
I'm
don't even
gonna be
care.
in Vegas.
I'll be here.
I mean, every day is 420 if you try hard.
Well,
Very, very short.
Yeah.
Want to turn the camera off first? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, my bad.
No, I'm just playing.
Back
Hey,
in-
hey, cut
In
that. Cut that.
In fact,
We
the
will-
guy
I'm
that,
just playing.
No.
his friend, his the roommate or whatever.
We'll send you out this week.
You did.
The schedule.
They both here now.
Yeah.
They were just in my studio the other night.
They live here?
All right. Anything else anyone needs to hit?
I just met
Oh, man, what
Cam's
they say about
manager.
shopping, cuz?
Yeah, they here right now.
Who's Cam's manager?
I haven't met this.
Oh,
What's going on?
he's,
Oh.
just showing trial.
His manager is in LA
When we talking about
Yeah, but I
legal
met
stuff
him.
right there, man.
over the.
Yeah, I'm not a criminal lawyer.
Facebook.
Hey, in the.
I can tell you what I know.
Al has.
I tell you, I'm scared
That's a
about.
nonprofit now.